Can everyone see the shared slide?
Yes po, Doc.
Yes po, Doc.
Okay.
The techniques of acupuncture and moxibustion in traditional Chinese medicine are a traditional knowledge and practice formed in the soil of ancient Chinese culture for regulating the body's balance and maintaining health. They are based on the holistic concept of unity between man and nature. Under the guidance of the theories of the channels and acupuncture points, its practice involves the insertion of needles into specific points on the body or the burning of moxa to warm the surface parts of the body in order to relieve pain, treat illness, or promote health. The holistic concept of unity between man and nature, which stems from ancient Chinese philosophy, views the living individual as a component part of the universe and explains life activities with the theory of yin and yang. For instance, in the natural world, yin represents the earth, the moon and night, whereas yang represents the sky or heaven, the sun and day. Inside the human body, upward movement represents yang, whereas stability and downward movement represents yin. Yin and yang govern nature as well as the body's interior. Therefore, if the yin-yang balance between the external environment and the body, or that within the body, is upset, disease results. The theories of acupuncture and moxibustion hold that the human body is a microcosm, each part of which is connected by channels. Through long-term practice, points on the channels have been discovered, gradually developing into a systematic theory, of which the 12 channels correspond to the 12 months and 365 acupuncture points to the 365 days of the year. This theory embodies the dynamic relationship between heaven, man, and earth. For instance, if a patient has a toothache on the left side, it can be treated by inserting a needle in the Hegu point on the right hand. The principle of selecting points on the lower body for diseases in the upper, or of selecting points on the right for diseases on the left, reflects clearly acupuncture and moxibustion's holistic view of the human body as an integral whole. The practice of acupuncture and moxibustion can be explained as follows. In acupuncture, the primary tool is the needle. Historically, needles were made of special stones or metals, such as bronze, iron, gold, and silver. Today, needles are mostly made of stainless steel. Needles are selected according to the individual conditions and used to puncture and stimulate specific points to dredge the channels. Methods such as lifting, thrusting, twirling, and rotating, or comprehensive needle techniques are used for both prevention and treatment of disease. 9 needles of different shapes and dozens of different needle techniques were recorded in the classic of acupuncture in the 2nd to 3rd century BC. The primary material used for moxibustion is artemisiae, commonly known as the moxa plant, which has a particular fragrance and grows in most parts of China. Since ancient times, the Chinese have believed that it has the ability to dispel pathogenic factors. Moxa cones and sticks are made of moxa wool, processed from moxa leaves, which have been dried up and ground into wool. Moxa cones and moxa wool burn with an even warmth for a long period of time. Moxibustion is usually divided into direct and indirect forms, in which either moxa cones are placed directly on points, or moxa sticks are held and kept at some distance from the body surface to warm the points so as to adjust the yin and yang of the body and restore balance and health. Acupuncture and moxibustion have been constantly reinvented in response to the environment and interactions with nature and history. Therefore, characteristic regional, group, or individual schools have formed. Through endless exploration over the course of several millennia, acupuncturists throughout history have improved upon the ancient art of acupuncture and moxibustion. The three-step needle techniques improved upon by Chen Shenong are based on the relationships between heaven, earth, and man. They summarize the three needle depths of superficial, middle, and deep. The three free-flow needle techniques summarized by He Pu Ren are based on severity of illness and apply slight warming and strong promotion of free flow to treat disease. These needle techniques have had far-reaching influences on promoting the continuing existence of this tradition. In China, to be a recognized master of the acupuncture tradition requires apprenticeship under a renowned acupuncturist. Acupuncture and moxibustion are primarily transmitted through example, as well as verbal instruction through inherited lineages formed by master-pupil relations or members of a clan. These tradition bearers are identified by their reverence for the mythological figures of Huang Di and Fu Xi. To become an excellent, reputable acupuncturist requires long-term accumulation of knowledge and practical experience. The bronze figure of acupuncture points, cast in 1026 in the Song dynasty, the systematic classic of acupuncture and moxibustion, compiled in 259, and the great compendium of acupuncture and moxibustion, written in 1601, as well as other works, are all a testimony to the inheritance and development of this tradition and have served as important reference materials in the study of acupuncture and moxibustion, and have been playing a significant role in their continued development up to the present day. Among the Chinese people, there are sayings such as "one needle and a bundle of herbs keeps you healthy into old age," and "hanging moxa leaves on your front door keeps the doctor away all year round." These sayings are evidence that acupuncture and moxibustion have had a huge impact on people's lives and also reflect the widespread recognition of this ancient tradition. Acupuncture and moxibustion are a type of natural therapy which requires no medicine. This comprehensive body of knowledge and steady rate of development have played an important role in promoting healthcare. For the sake of protecting its continuous existence, the China Association of Acupuncture and Moxibustion, the Institute of Acupuncture and Moxibustion of the China Academy of Chinese Medical Sciences, and associated communities have launched wide-ranging movements for the study and practice of this tradition. Chinese acupuncture and moxibustion is a living body of ancient Chinese wisdom and cultural legacy.
Okay, so nakita niyo no an video. Were you able to watch the video, the whole thing?
Yes, Doc.
You know, traditional Chinese medicine really has existed a long time ago. So that's the reason why these the Chinese University also and the Health Ministry of China, I mean, has really preserved the practice of that traditional Chinese medicine, especially with acupuncture and moxibustion, because it has been tried and proven. It has been tested also, and it really gives you relief. No? So if you can imagine, if you combine the traditional Chinese medicine with the Western medicine, it's a holistic approach. So mas magiging maupay pamati yung pasyente, no? Holistically, and then you have the Western medicine with medically. Okay, sige. So let's just proceed with our topic, because if I won't be able to teach you nga ni gihapon, even if lalong-lalo na yan na it's not face to face. If it's face to face also, I can't even teach you with the acupuncture because I haven't tried and tested it yet. Although I was once invited to a training with acupuncture, but it was just an acupuncture of the ears. If you're feeling something in your body, you prick the needle, didiha imo may talinga. So there's also a connection with your ears to the different organs of your body, your zangfu organs. Okay, so again, can I ask the president, when is your bi-monthly or when is your exam?
April 26 to 30.
April 26 to 30. April 26, 30. Okay, so we still have today and the next week, no? And then after that, you'll be having your bi-monthly, and then after we will be resuming. Tama?
Yes.
Okay, sige. I'm going to discuss to you about the history of medicine in the Philippines. Okay, we have been talking about the history of medicine in the world, and then in traditional Chinese medicine. No, then we will be talking about how did medicine came about here in the Philippines. No, paano kita nagsimula? Paano nagsimula ang practice ng medicine dito sa Philippines, even before the Spanish era. So, what is your next subject again? Physio? Do you have physio right now? Zoe?
No, I don't.
So, what is your next subject? Wala.
Later pa. 5.
5?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. See. If I know if it's face to face, tapos 5 o'clock pat yung klase, hindi ako pat oras, ano? So from 8 a.m. later, pwede pa kamo magtambay nga tod balay ting classmates. That's what we do. That's what we did when we were still in the medicine, because makuri maginuli. No? So pwede kami specific place. It's with Dr. De La Cruz, akong classmate, Catherine De La Cruz nga balay. So kami dito nagluluto, nangangaon, nangangaturog, nagbabasa kung may dabaras ako. It's really different nowadays. Sige. So can you see the slide?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, sige. So let's start, okay? Medicine in the Philippines. How did it start? How did it came about here in our country? And what did our ancestors do with it? Okay. Sige. First of all, I'm getting my lectures with this in this book. No, it is a legacy of public health from the Department of Health. Na story from the Department of Health. You can download it. Actually, it's a PDF file in your internet. So, yun. That would be my reference. No, that would be our reference. So this is the logo of the Department of Health. If everyone does not, if someone does not know yet, so I am working at the Department of Health Since 2019, December 2019, so 1 year and 4 months na ako in the Department of Health. And I was appointed as the Regional Epidemiology Surveillance Unit Head and the Health Emergency Management Section Head. No? So the COVID-19 response is within my responsibility also. And but the vaccination is not. So the surveillance is with me. Whenever there are disasters like typhoons, earthquakes, and other man-made disasters, or even planned events, like for example, the coming of Presidente Duterte, the coming of the Pope, no, the other planned events. So it's under the health emergency management section. So what is the vision of the Department of Health? So the vision of the Department of Health is to be a global leader for attaining better health outcomes, competitive and responsive healthcare system, and equitable health financing. Okay, so one of the ways of achieving this vision of the Department of Health is the universal healthcare. Okay, so does someone or anybody knows about universal healthcare, or nabatian na ba niyo at universal healthcare, UHC? For those who have already worked at the Department of Health, or for those who have worked at any hospitals, no? Have you ever come about, or have you ever tackled about universal healthcare? Sino din yan pharmacist sa iyo? Hello? 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 How about Clint? Tyrone? Are you there?
Doc.
Yes. Can I ask for your opinion? Is this vision coming true right now or not?
Anay, Doc, intindi ko pa.
Just an honest opinion, okay? Just an honest opinion. It's a vision.
For me, Doc, ano, ano ba?
Don't worry, nobody's listening. Ako lang. Ako lang tadi DOH, kinamamatiyan.
Di riya sugad ka, ano? Di riya sugad ka efficient. Not that effective.
Actually, it's true.
Yun. Yun lang, Doc.
Because the vision, ibig sabihin, ano ibig sabihin vision? Patarawantak nakita yan, ano, Webster, nasiring, something seen in a dream. No? So, but, with the vision that you have, it's a dream that you have. Kumbaga, dida naka-anchor it imo mga activities so that you can achieve that vision. But personally, or even if I am in the Department of Health, I will say, really, we are not yet there. But we are anchoring our programs, to achieve that vision, to attain a better health outcome, but and to be competitive, no, and responsive, to have a responsive healthcare system. That's the reason why we are doing this one hospital command. We are doing, no, the programs that we have in the DOH. Although, no, there are indicators that we could see na diri talaga ada pangatanan. No? How about Neil Ralph? Neil, are you there? He's here, right? Mr. T? Mr. T, are you there? Or are you sleeping?
Mahina daw po internet niya, Doc.
Mahina yung internet. Teka. Doc, mahina internet ko. Okay, sige. Because Neil has worked with the Department of Health, no? Dito yan, natambay ito yan di opisina. So, maybe you have an opinion, but sige, because diri man ano. Diri man maupay ang internet. Okay? Sige. So let's go to the mission of the Department of Health. What is the mission of the Department of Health? Our mission is to guarantee equitable, sustainable, and quality health for all Filipinos. It is the mission of the Department of Health, especially the poor, and to lead the quest for excellence in health. I know you have your own opinions about what we are experiencing right now with this pandemic response, but it all boils down actually to leadership. Okay? It all boils down to who's in the lead. No? On the lead, I mean. Okay. Okay. What is the quality policy of the Department of Health? So the Department of Health, as the nation's leader in health, is committed to guarantee equitable, accessible, and quality health service for all Filipinos. We at the Department of Health, together with our partners, shall ensure the highest standards of healthcare in compliance with statutory and regulatory requirements, and shall continually improve our quality management systems to the satisfaction of our citizens. No? But with the satisfaction of our citizens, we could not really attain 100% satisfaction. No? It's very normal for you to have those who are opposing you. Okay? Kahit anong gawin mo, may adagud lagi hapon, may damaiyayakan, no, with what you are doing. No? But we will continually improve. No? That's the reason why also doctors, kita nga mga doctors, we improve ourselves. It is our duty not to improve our learnings. No? It's not the duty of the PRC or the Professional Regulation Commission. It is your sole duty, no, to improve your learning for your patients. That's the reason why we attend conferences, we do specialization, we do residency, or if not, we do our masterals. Okay? So let's go to the topic mismo. No? So who can elaborate on this picture? Guys, any volunteer kung paano niya may elaborate ng picture? Dr. Correa?
Yes, Doc.
Yes. So how can you elaborate this picture? Can you explain it to your classmates?
From what I understand from the picture, it's what I suppose would be considered traditional medicine in the Philippines.
Mm-mm. Okay. Okay. Sige. So, this picture will show us the history, no? Pag makikita niyo din, no? Even before pa, they have practice, no? They have a practice, no, of medicine, even before the Spaniards came. Okay? So let's start with the pre-Spanish era, or before 1565, the history of medicine. No? Ancient Filipinos regarded health as a harmonious relationship with the environment, both natural and supernatural. No? With the traditional Chinese medicine, the traditional Chinese medicine regards, no, health as the holistic, no, for your whole body. No? But with the Filipinos, with our ancestors, no, they regard it as a harmonious relationship between your body and the environment, and they add it on with the supernatural beings. No? Like most indigenous people, our ancestors put faith in nature, not only for physical but also for spiritual sustenance. Diba? A long time ago, our ancestors worship the trees, worship the mountains, diba? May danira mga Diyos, mga Diyosa. No? They believe in the power of both the animate and inanimate world was central to their way of life. Okay? Ailments were believed to be caused by disharmony with the spiritual world. No? For ibig sabihin, may niyo mga na offend ng mga spirits, no? That's the reason why you have diseases, no? And restoring health meant appeasing the gods, no? Through incantations, dances, and ritual offerings that range from food to clothing, even to blood sacrifice. Now, at the center of these rituals was the babaylan, okay? The babaylan was known to be a mediator between the physical and spiritual worlds, no? Sorry. The babaylan was considered as the priestess during those times. Now, usually female. I said usually because there are times that yung mga babaylan are males, no? And these babaylan, long time ago, pag male hera, they look like females also. Okay? So ibig sabihin, at nga panahon pa, there is also gender. May danira gender preference, no? Usually female, the babaylan was considered as their healer, the priestess, and the leader. Okay? So even if there are chief, there are datus, there are sultans, when it comes to healing, when it comes to health, when it comes to supernatural power, no, they go to the babaylan to ask for guidance. So ibig sabihin, they consider the babaylan as very powerful. Such was her sway that to this day, echoes of this shaman figure remain in folk traditions that have survived centuries of foreign rule. Okay? So yan na, ng mga panahon, ini nga mga babaylan, amoy na naton mga albularyo, nga nakikita yan na naton mga traditional, nagpa-practice ang traditional nga Filipino, no? With their concoctions of potions. Diba? May mga ginpapainom, may mga susunog nga ginsurat, ginpapainom nga tubig. Okay? So that's it. So, this is a picture of the babaylan, no? Ang mga albularyo han una nga panahon. But han una nga panahon, they were really considered as a high stature, no, in the society. But have you ever came across this babaylan in ABS-CBN? Dirin hiya sugad ha. Dirin kon latiya. Fiction latiya diran ano. TV. So early Filipinos were good physicians, you know. They were maupay nga mga doktor because they used medicinal herbs, no. They know para ano ini nga mga herbs nga ginagamit, no? Bisan kita yan na, we don't even know, no? We just have, yes, we have our mga halamang gamot, no? But even us, we don't know kung ano po talaga gamit hinira. But early Filipinos were good physicians, no? One of the most prized medicinal plant is the Igasude, no? From the mountain regions of the Visayas. Its seed, when chewed, is an antidote for poison. It was renamed Pipita of San Ignacio by Spanish missionaries when they went here, no? So this is the Igasude, I mean, no? Or later on called the Pipita. No, Filipinos, since the Spanish times, no, inihiyang Ignacio, or what we call the Strychnos ignati, or the scientific name for it is the Strychnos ignati, has been known in the Philippines. It is used as an aphrodisiac and a stimulant, and also as a lethal poison. Kung nasusobrahan liwat hini, it could be lethal. It was brought to Europe in 1699 by the Philippine Jesuit missionary. Father Camelli of this Jesuit missionary named the beans in honor of Saint Ignatius, so the founder of the Society of Jesus, also known as Catbalonga. This one is also known as Catbalonga. Filipinos boasted an extensive knowledge of medicinal botany, making the Spanish historian Miguel de Luarca report that the natives were good physicians and had a remedy for every poison. No, if you were, because Filipinos were living as natives, no, they were living as I won't say it's scavengers, no, but they were really in the mountains, no, hunting, no, fishing. So they have an antidote, no, they have a remedy for every poison. So the leaves of the tangan-tangan, when applied on the forehead, relieved headaches. But they already have that. The seeds of the balconag, when rubbed on the scalp, killed lice. No, they have already this anti-lice na mga ano, waray diri pa uson shampoo ayra, no, but when you rub it on your scalp, no, nakakamatayhan mga lice and mga kuto. The root of the pandakaki, when boiled, was a pain reliever. The leaves of the balabgon, when pounded and put on wounds, was a salve, and many more. Okay? So ibig sabihin, mayroon na talaga, no? Mayroon na talaga kita din existing, no? Practice of medicine. Antidotes using barks of trees were also popular, such as the boiled bark of palanigan. So I would really suggest you guys to please search for this, search in the internet for this medicinal, no, nga mga antidotes or akong mga gin-mention, and see if ano waray-waray hinihato. So this palanigan served as an antipyretic, no, when you have fever. The bark of the bagosabak, an antidote for snake bite poisoning, and the pipita, which I have shown you kanina. The pipita plant seed, which was chewed for relief of food poisoning and stomach upset. Early Filipinos reveled a deep connection to the natural world, harnessing it as a resource to fuel both body and spirit. Whilst the Spaniards were intrigued by this primitive means of healthcare, they believed that the natives, as they called Filipinos, must be taught the Western ways of health. No? Even if we already have this, no, practice of medicine in both our spiritual, no, and herbal remedies, the Spaniards still think that they were superior to us. So that's the reason why they wanted us to learn the Western ways of health. No? But if you could see, no, they have existed already. No? They have already existed that waray pan mga Spanish, okay man ang kabuhian mga aton mga natives and aton ancestors. No? But when Magellan came, and all the other rest came here, no? May na mga nabago. So we go to the Spanish era between 1565 to 1898. So this is the San Lazaro Church and Hospital. It represents the early medical healthcare in the Spanish era, as the Spanish were not accustomed to the climate, to the food, and other challenges of living in the Philippines. Ambot ano nagkinanhiyong pangayan hera. They were not accustomed man to the climate. Spanish soldiers usually were the ones who succumbed to a number of diseases. No? The Filipinos were already native to this land. Now, our ancestors, were already native to this land. They were not yet called Filipinos at the time. No? So yung mga Spanyol, when they came, usually they succumbed to a number of diseases. So that's the reason why they opted to build hospitals. And they were treated in hospitals specially created for their welfare. No? So another mga Filipinos were actually not welcome to these hospitals. It took more than 30 years after the death of Ferdinand Magellan in 1521 for the Spaniards to successfully build colonies in the Philippines. Expensive expeditions were sent by the Spanish monarch Charles I, but each failed to establish a permanent base on the newly discovered archipelago. It was only in 1565, after the arrival of Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, in Cebu, that the first permanent Spanish settlement in the Philippines was established. No? So Magellan was the only one who discovered Philippines, but they were not able actually to control the Philippines, not until 1565. When did Magellan came? Guys?
1521 daw.
Yes, 1521. During the Spanish era, the Babay lands were replaced by the friars. No? History reveals that apart from the political and social control by the friars, the establishment and the administration of some of the first health institutions in the country were also accomplished by men of the cloth. No? So the priests were also believed to be the ones who healed them. Were also be the ones to be the doctors of these hospitals. No? They run the health institutions in the country. No? During this Spanish era also, there was a hospital built, the Hospital Real, or the Real de Hospitales. No? The very first hospital in the Philippines was the Hospital Real, or the Real de Hospitales. No? It was initially built in Cebu in 1565. It was relocated to Manila when the seat of government was transferred from Cebu to Manila. The hospital was established to cater to the needs of the Spanish Army and Navy. No, Spanish Army and Navy only. Casualties from the military campaigns and those who succumbed to tropical diseases. Interestingly, this hospital refused admission to Spanish and Mestizo women. No? So this is the Hospital Real. It was a royal hospital funded by King Philip II and the Spanish government, yet it was beset by numerous problems, including finances. There was a constant need for doctors, nurses, and chaplains. Likewise, food and other supplies were also lacking. They were always lacking. On July 1597, it was recommended that the Royal Hospital be administered by both the Order of St. Francis and Confraternity of La Misericordia. The latter, or this Confraternity of La Misericordia, is a religious order whose mission was the care of the sick. So King Philip II was convinced that the hospital would be better managed with the members of the clergy, no, not by doctors, with the members of the clergy. The hospital continued its operation through the next centuries until an earthquake in 1863 demolished almost all of the stone buildings in Manila, The hospital was rebuilt as a one-story building outside the city walls. Outside the city walls. Then we have this Hospital de Naturales. The Hospital de Naturales became the Hospital de los Indios Naturales, more popularly known as Hospital de Naturales. No? They cater those who are Indio. No? When Spanish came, they refer the natives as Indios. Okay? So this is the hospital which caters for this, de los Indios. No? They were led by Fray Clemente. The friars cared for the sick while also tending to their spiritual needs. Various sources place the arrival of the first Franciscan mission in the Philippines between 1577 and 1578. So this Fray Juan Clemente, he was a lay brother and botanist. So he was learning about medicinal herbs. The 54-year-old Fray Clemente took pity on the numerous beggars who flocked to the gates of the convent. And so, out of compassion, he concocted medications and salve to apply to their wounds. No? Word of this benevolence spread, and when the small chapel where he treated the sick could no longer accommodate the patients who arrive in flocks, Fray Clemente sought help from the community and the clergy, and he was able to raise funds for a simple structure comprising 2 wards of nipa and bamboo, which he himself built beside the convent. And then it became like this after several years, the Hospital de Naturales. So apart from the hospital, the facility also housed a free pharmacy where ointments, oils, herbal remedies, and other medicinal supplies could be obtained. Through its well-stocked dispensary, the Hospital de Naturales was able to supply most of the medical needs of other hospitals and religious infirmaries. The original structure was destroyed by a fire that razed Intramuros in 1583, but was rebuilt as a stone structure with the help of Father Domingo Salazar, the first Archbishop of the Philippines. So, ang una, di pala to, tapos naging stone like this because of the fire. Okay. Fray Clemente died in 1598 at the age of 74 after 20 years of service to the hospital. His kindness and sense of charity had touched many lives, so that his funeral was attended not only by the poor and the sick, but also by the civil and church authorities and other well-known personalities in Manila. A few years after his death, tragedy struck once again when the Hospital de Naturales was destroyed in yet another fire. So a new location was chosen for the reconstruction of the facility, and then a development that led to the establishment of one of the oldest medical institutions in the country, the Hospital de San Lazaro, or the San Lazaro Hospital that we know right now, was the former Hospital de Naturales. So this is the El Hospital de San Lazaro in 1905. And still, up to now, it's functioning. Now we go to the Hospital de la Misericordia. After the fire of 1603, it was decided that the original site of the Hospital de Naturales be turned over to the Brotherhood of Santa Misericordia. So the Hospital de la Misericordia was built for the care of the sick servants and slaves of the Spaniards, who are usually the natives, the Filipinos. As they were refused admission at Hospital Real, Spanish and Mestizo women were also treated in this facility. But several calamities occurred during the same year as the plague, including an earthquake, flood, and the Chinese insurrection, nag-alsa ang mga Chinese nga din here Philippines. These dwindling funds necessitated the transfer of the hospital's administration from the Brothers of Misericordia to the Hospitalier Order of San Juan de Dios. A small infirmary in Bagong Bayan began operations in 1643, which became known as the Hospital de San Juan de Dios, which is up to now functioning. So the Hospital de la Misericordia is what we call right now the Hospital de San Juan de Dios. So this one, is the San Juan de Dios. Hospital of San Gabriel. The Dominicans arrived in the country in 1587 upon the invitation of Manila Bishop Domingo de Salazar, who sought their help to minister and convert the Chinese, no, to the faith. To this end, the Dominicans built two churches, one at the eastern side of Parian and one at the other side in Baybay near Tondo. Okay. The Dominicans would extend charity to the Chinese. No, it was one way of them to. It was their way of them na ini nga mga Chinese na convert into Christianity. No? Some of these Chinese fell sick and died in poverty and abandonment. To accommodate the growing number of the sick, the priests built the modest-sized building behind the convent and called it the Hospital de San Pedro Martir. So in 1589, the Hospital de San Gabriel was created for the Chinese, and a building of brick and stone to the hospital was built with financial assistance from the Governor-General Santiago Rivera, who supported the Dominicans' efforts to convert the Chinese to Catholicism. Other medical facilities were built by the Spaniards, Damu Pahinduro, no? During 400 years of the colonization. Aside from the military hospital of Manila, another was erected in the Presidio de Zamboanga. The Hospital of San Jose was built in Cavite in 1591 by the order of the San Juan de Dios for the care of sailors. Another institution was built in Canyacao in 1871 and was managed by the Sisters of Charity. The Hospital of Basilan, built as a naval hospital, was quite unique in the Orient, as it was built entirely on the water. No? And Hospital of Basilan, it was a naval hospital. No? So if you could see the transition from the babaylan, from the herbs and the remedies, no, to the transition now and mga religious orders and nakaputan mga hospitals, and they were the ones treating the patients. No, it was really a very pivotal shift, no, because dako talaga ang pagregard han Spaniards or han Spanish era with regards to Christianity and Catholicism. No? That's the reason why the prime movers during those times were clergy, members of the cloth, no? Priests, nuns, and those members of the clergy. No? So after this topic, I would end this topic here, the Philippines during the Spanish, the pre-Spanish and the Spanish era. Next time, we will be discussing after the Spanish era na, an American liwat. No? How did it evolve? How medicine evolved here in the Philippines during the American era. Okay? So I think that would be my last slide. Gracias, or thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Doc.
I would be giving to you na lang the slides. No?